everybody. I want to welcome you to another episode of Scale Adventures, where we bring established entrepreneurs who share with us their journey, the behind the scenes challenges of building companies that make a difference. I have with me Jay, the CEO of Bolt. I'm going to deep dive into some of his perspectives on culture, on growth, his own journey. Jay, before we dive into my questions, how would you like to introduce yourself? Just tell us a little bit about you and the work you're doing at Bolt, and then we'll take it from there.
Sure. So first, thank you, Akshay, for having me here. My name is Jayant Umrani. I'm based out of Atlanta, Georgia. So I'm in the US Eastern time zone and been technologist at heart. So I started my career as a software developer. I have also worked as an architect, and from there where I really stepped into getting into sales and finally thought of having my own company. So that's who I am.
Fantastic. So Jay, I'm going to ask you to share a little bit about the kinds of clients you work with, the kinds of work that you do for them. If you have one story or two stories, that would be perfect for us to just start.
Oh yeah, sure. Absolutely. So we work with a variety of us. So first, let me talk about the fitment of a customer, right? So for us, companies who are in a very high growth area, who have secured some funding or want to form themselves, right? Those are the very good companies for us to work with because they invest a lot in technology and they really need certain outputs and outcomes for their business. So that's one kind of company. We are a commercial space as per Salesforce definition, but for us, we look at companies who are between 50 million to a billion. So range is quite wider than smaller. And we have worked even with a 7-8 billion company here in Atlanta. From an industry perspective, we work across 4 to 5 industries. We have very good depth into healthcare, into health cloud, and a lot of other areas. We work with non-profit. That is our second biggest industry that we work with. Then we also work with technology providers, all the SaaS companies and all the technology companies out there. And then we work with finance. Finance is one of our verticals. And what kind of work we do? It's a very interesting question because there are, I think, if I'm not wrong, maybe 1,000, 5,000 IT consulting companies out there, right? And everybody goes with an objective saying that we have the skills, tell us what to do and we'll do it for you. Other side, there are these product companies who go with an attitude saying that we have a product with minimum customization, it will solve your problem. But if you truly understand a customer, including ourselves, right? You look for your own company, we see that we have a couple of products and we have some custom work that we have. And why have we done that? We have done that to achieve certain business outcome. We have not done that because the product is good or because nothing is there in the market and I have to customize something. And that is the approach we really take with our customers, saying that what is the outcome that you really want? And to give you one example, we recently completed one lightning migration project. Now it sounds very simple for a lot of Salesforce companies saying that, oh, lightning migration is a technical migration. Let's move you from classic interface into lightning interface. But when we went with the customer and wanted to understand why do they want to change, right? Not that classic is going to go anywhere, right? It's going to stay at least for the next couple of years. So why do you want to really change? And when we realized that where they are really spending time is their salespeople, right? And sales management is spending hours, right, on the calls to just understand how matured are their deals and which are the deals that as a manager, I want to help my sales guys cover, right? And that is the outcome that they really wanted. So can Classic solve that problem versus Lightning solve that problem? In my opinion, technology is just an enabler. So it doesn't really matter, right? But the way approach we took is once we understand the outcome that they wanted, right? It was no more a Lightning migration for us. Lightning is just an interface to show things in a better way. We have the problem so that their VP of sales could understand which are the deals which are really well, which are the deals that need some attention, and he could do a leading conversation with the sales guy. So the 1 hour call got shrink to 15 minutes, right? And that is how we responded after 3 months of being the VP of sales sent me an email saying that, Jayant, you don't know what you need for us, but our 1 hour calls have shrink to 15 minutes. And many times I don't even need those calls. So instead of having a daily call, now I have 2 or 3 calls which are 15 minutes. So that's a huge advantage of time that somebody can get.
I think what's fantastic, this is what struck me even in the previous conversation when we were getting started, was this almost methodology agnostic. You don't have favorites. It is about the outcome, and then you work back to the technology, the approach, the model, and including making some difficult choices to be more on doing the creative work rather than just say a plain vanilla staffing. And that you had mentioned that these are some sort of difficult choices around strategy that you all have made because because you yourself are a technologist at heart, and I guess you have a team that represents that way of thinking about things.
Yeah. I believe there are 5,000, 6,000 companies, right? 1,000 plus definitely Salesforce consulting company, right? So when I wanted to start, the main question was, what am I going to do different? Or is it going to be a Me Too story? But when I realized that why I wanted to start the business is not because I was unhappy in my job and I was doing really very well. I've grown in that company from nothing, really from one small customer to a 50 million practice. So I could have, and I have been them for 12 years, right? So I was very comfortable working with them. I am still in contact with all of those people, right? But why I truly wanted to start was because nobody is really coming to a customer or coming to me as I run a business, right? Coming to me and saying that, Jayant, what is the outcomes that you want for this? No salesperson has asked me that question. And that is because we try to sell what we have instead of we try to understand what the customer wants for his business. And customers don't know what they want, but they know that I need to grow my business from this to this. And these are the problems that I'm facing because of which I'm not able to grow. And that's the outcome I want. That is why I took a more agnostic approach. And that is how we really approach it. Everybody calls them as discovery calls, right? But what we do is we really map something called a success matrix, right? And it depends whom you ask. Now, if you can ask the CEO, his business success matrix is very different. To a CFO, to VP of sales. VP of sales is going to say me, can you really save my 45 minutes on my call? And can you tell me 3 deals I need to worry about? Because I have 10 salespeople, everybody is working on 10 deals. I cannot handle 100 deals myself. Tell me those 3 deals where I should spend time. That is his business success matrix. CFOs are going to say that, am I getting return on my investment? Is my cost of sales going down? Is my cost of service going down? Are we increasing sales without increasing number of people? So his success matrix is very different from it. So that is exactly what we do. We come in these discovery calls, we really talk to the key stakeholders and understand what outcomes they want, right? Map those outcomes and create something called a business success matrix for them. We follow a design thinking methodology, right? Very standard methodology. But the output, see, it depends upon with what intent you do a call. See, if you go into an intent in the call saying that I want to understand outcomes and I want to build for your outcomes, right? Then the whole solutioning approach changes. Versus saying that I have these products and I want to sell you these products, then your discovery call changes completely. Yeah. So that is, I think, a very different approach. I was not sure whether it's going to work, but it's been 7 years. I'm still in business, so I guess it's working.
No, I think that, and this is what I meant when we started, that although you call yourselves a technologist at heart, the human touch, right, it has come out in different aspects of the conversation and the business orientation. That's those 3 intersections quite. In fact, you mentioned in passing about building a team from almost nothing to about 50 million. I just want to take a step back to that part of your journey, right? If you look back at there, of course, some insights. Typically, I've heard technologists and engineers stay away from the side of things, but it seems to have been different with you. Talk to us a little bit about that part of the journey, lessons, reflections. Why did you jump in?
Okay. So I think everybody is different, right? So my personality is that if I'm in a comfortable zone, I'm very uncomfortable. And that has reflected across my career. So the last company where I spent 12 years, I changed my portfolio almost every 3 years, right? On my own, right? So I joined them as a technical architect. I went to one of their customers in UK, worked there for 2 years. After coming back, I went and told my boss that this is not what I want to do anymore. But I've done it, been there, this is nice, but how can I do something? Right. And that is where I really got into account management. And that was, I think, my first step towards understanding the customer needs, understanding what sales means and what all it is. And account management was more of managing the delivery and making sure you farm the account and you stay in the account, typical account management care. But the approach I took was really trying to understand that I was always asking myself, why can't I be the single vendor for this? Do they need 3 vendors? And when I came to the US in 2005, 3 big vendors in the portfolio I had. And I gave him a vendor consolidation plan, 3-2-1. He listened to me and he said, you know something, right? We have top 5. You have listed one of the vendors as top 5. I don't want to take their name. I think I should do this plan with them, right? Why will I do the plan with you, right? So I said, I came up with the plan, right? He said, yeah, definitely. And when the conversation started, he just saw the passion in making something. And he said, your passion is very contagious. I think I will give you some chance. I won't replace the top 5 for sure. I lose my job if you make a mistake. But let's start with the low-hanging fruit. And the kind of experience he got is how I started farming the account, right? Again, 3-4 years down the line, I was very comfortable, but feeling very uncomfortable in the whole situation. I moved into sales, right? And why I moved into sales is, this is very common for all technology people, that they feel that I don't know what sales guys are. I do everything, right? I understand customer requirements. I do the delivery. What the sales guys are doing. And I really wanted to understand that, and little bit of this farming understanding, I said, let me jump into it. Right. And when our CEO and my boss, they said, are you really sure you're sitting on $100 million portfolio? Do you want to give that and just jump into sales? I said, yes, I want to. Because if I don't do it now, I will always feel that I didn't do something. I'm too comfortable here. 3 hours I work, everything is done. I'm telling you very honestly, I only work 3 hours a day. And they gave me that portfolio at sales. That was a very big eye-opener to me, saying that hunting sales is very different from hunting 100,000 OW is very hard to writing a 5 million farming OW, because you are well established, customer knows you, you're doing deliveries, very easy to increase the business, right? Farming business is very hard, but it taught me a lot. And that is exactly what it taught me, saying that nobody is really talking first language. Nobody is really asking them that, what are you looking for, rather than what I want to. And again, being a technologist, I tend to listen more than talk, which I didn't know was very important in sales, because I have always seen sales guys talking very well and dressed very well. And I was all fascinated by that. But when I realized we are all humans, right? So ultimately, a human connection, what matters. And what I realized is, customer doesn't give you business because of your brand. Customer looks into your eyes and gives you business thinking that, will this guy deliver? And that is the core reason why you get business. It is not because you are a top 5 employee or you come with a very good recommendation. They give you only because you do that trust. And trust you only develop by understanding the customer problem. And that requires listening. So it all, I think, into, and that is what I really started with. But coming back to my last job and how that grew is, my personality of moving across these portfolios was well known in the company. Right? When an opportunity came in, when they wanted to build a Salesforce practice, they picked me, saying that, oh, this is the guy who feels very uncomfortable and wants challenging role. Let us put him. That's where I got a role to lead a technology, right? From sales to delivery to everything, they put under one umbrella, because there was nothing much. It was a very small group of people, right? There's only one customer we had. And I led whole of that from the front, right? Because I was a technologist. And once you're a technologist, I didn't know what Salesforce is in 2008. I said, let me understand what it is. I jumped into it and I said, I want to go to our top 5 hearts, because those are the people who are going to give us business. See, what matters for us, I'll tell you, is who knows us. It doesn't matter how many people I know. I get business from the people who know me. And that's, I think, that I took, saying that, let me go to my top 5 first. Let me start pitching this. And obviously our top 5 customers were like 100 billion type of guys. So we could very easily grow our, and once it took momentum, I think I could build a team with architects in the front. And that is, I think, the differentiator what I have in my company also. The kind of people I have have a mindset, right? They don't have a technical mindset, saying that, oh, this is the problem, oh, I can solve it this way, or I will need to do customization, or I can do, right? That doesn't matter to the customer. He doesn't even understand what I just said in the last 15 seconds. What he understands is, how can this problem be solved, or is there a better way of doing it? How have you done it with other customers? So that's, I think, that took, maybe I gave you a longer answer, but that is, I think, what happened and why I could grow that practice. And that gave me tremendous confidence, saying that I can do this. And I do see a problem out there. So it is a good idea to jump out and try it myself. What will happen in worst case, right?
Yeah. You said this, couple of patterns that stood out for me is the willingness to, firstly, you had a reputation for being somebody who moved the needle on new projects. Secondly, a willingness to jump in. Thirdly, you modeled a business backwards approach, right? And what I find interesting about not just this conversation with you, but whenever I talk to a business leader who's well established, they repeat the basics again and again from different angles, because it's almost like that's the way they see the world. It doesn't matter what the problem is. They have got a first principles understanding of how do you create genuine value. And I think that I heard a bunch of those patterns in there. I want to forward a little bit to your journey at Bolt. Maybe my first question would just be looking back. So you got out at Bolt after a fairly well-established career. You've jumped into building your own venture. What are the top 1 or 2 lessons that stand out for you in that stage of the journey?
That's an interesting question. So there are a lot of lessons, right? Because startup is all about failure and doing it again. Yeah. You don't fail until you quit. Is the mindset what you guys have. So I think the first important lesson I think we learned was how we got started. We got started with a very corporate mindset, if I may, right? Saying that, oh, I need someone to do sales. I need someone to do delivery, right? I need a very corporate presentation, right? I need to have a brand. What I'm trying to say is a corporate mindset, because we come from there. We think that startups absolutely don't work that way, right? Startup works, again, as I said, I made a list of whom I know and started calling them. I didn't get a single business out of it. But what started happening is, then I started realizing, and when I was talking to my friends, literally my friends of what I'm doing, they said, oh, we have a problem in our company. Why don't you come down? Let's have a chat. And then I started realizing it matters that who knows me will give me business rather than, whom I know. So that is, I think, the first learning that we had, that if you want to build your business, I think you should really look into your network. A network of people who know you more than whom. The second important lesson I think I learned, and it costed me almost 2 years, right, Bolt, is having this corporate mindset, saying that this is my presentation, this is who we are, this is what we bring to table. So we got our first customer, pretty early. And that's how we got started. Somebody from my network knew me, called, we got our first customer, we got started. But then we struggled getting more customers with this approach, and to a point where we almost had to shut down the company. There was nothing left. We burned out all the money. We were really pushed to the wall. A couple of partners who actually left, saying that, oh, this is not working, we are going to go. And I gave a very hard thought to this. And I really said, what do I also want to go back and do a job? And that is the time I realized, saying that what matters is truly understanding the customer problem and solving them. I'm being an architect. I've been a solution architect. I have led a $50 million practice from front. I think I want to take that approach. And even though I knew Salesforce very well, just to show my credentials, I just did 5 certifications in 6 weeks. I just sat down and I said, okay, let me do some certification, because they tell the world that, oh, this guy knows something. So I did more than anything. And that started a lot of conversations with the customers, with the prospects. And that's how I started getting business again. And I rebuilt it. So I think going back to the core learning is that if you come from a corporate mindset, and if you are an entrepreneur late in your life, somebody like me, you should really not try to structure your business in a very corporate way. Right? You should structure your business in a startup way, and you have to roll up your sleeves and do it. There is no boss, there is no manager, right? All these titles actually have no meaning, right? What matters is, are you able to roll up your sleeves and solve a customer problem? And the answer is yes, you can build a company. If you're hesitant doing that, I will say don't jump into it, because it's not for everybody.
I think one thing that strikes me about what you told is the rawness of that learning. It's not packaged, which is just a chance to hear those. Very often you read these overnight success stories and you feel like, what am I doing wrong? And I think it is always refreshing to listen to somebody who's honest enough to tell both the highs and the lows. Obviously, you're well established now, but to know that's what you had been through, even after building a $50 million business, and then see unlearning from the corporate back into the startup world, and then building a best of both worlds. You made an interesting point in our preparation call where you talked about building a team of experts and not just employees and I told you that you had shared some interesting perspectives on that. Just tell us a little bit more about how you were thinking about it at Bolt, and what does that look like?
Yeah, so I think, see, when you're in a startup or when you're doing your own business, first important thing that you should do, again, maybe a learning number 3 for us is, what you don't want to do more than what you want to do, right? And that you have to be very clear about it, and you should be in a position to say no, because typically what happens is you try to chase whatever is moving, right? Somebody has some staffing requirements, let me run there. Somebody has some other requirements, he's giving me RFP, let me run behind it. That happens, and you have to really say that. So what we decided, and I decided to do, was I said, I don't really want to, I want to focus, instead of saying what I don't want to do, I want to focus and really create capabilities of solving customer problems. Because if those capabilities were there in other companies and they are not doing it, that means those capabilities are not there. So the corporate way of building a team, like saying that let's have a pyramid, we should have all the entry-level people at the bottom, then junior people, then senior, and then one, and let's have a head-to-tail ratio of 1:2:10, right? I said, throw all of that out of window. That's not something I want to do. if I want to solve a problem, I want to have a solution mindset people, right? Senior people that I want. And I personally started interviewing, personally started bringing those people on board. Those people, I said, join me with me on the customer calls. So it's not like I'm going to understand the requirements, going to go and tell you, and then you build and then we deliver. I think that whole life cycle is not going to work with us, right? You are going to be on the call. You are going to speak on the call saying that based on what you're saying, these are the multiple ways of handling. This is a very low hanging fruit, which you can very quickly resolve, right? It might take you 3 hours to really do it. And this is something which requires fundamental business process change. And it's not very easy to do a business process change in a company. And then you need to learn the culture of that company, that how many times have you changed your business process? And they say, we have never changed it, then you realize that people are of a mindset saying that this is how it works. This is how we are used to doing things. And then it is harder. You'll have to have a very different approach of doing that. And that is what I started doing. So focusing more certifications or technical skills and things like that, I started focusing on people having that mindset. When I interview somebody, I started understanding, does he have a mindset of solving a problem? Does he understand the problem and tries to solve it rather than looking at black and white in terms of whether I should do configuration or I should do coding? I don't wanted that mindset. And that actually changed the game, number one. Second is culture, right? Because culture is very important. And if you don't really build, culture is going to get built and you're not going to like it. What is going to happen? So I paid attention to building a culture from day one. And for me, honestly, it was not a big flashy thing about company culture. It was about a collaboration that I wanted. Because if you want a solution-led people and all senior people in one company, right, you can imagine how difficult it would be to manage them, right? Again, you can't use a conventional corporate management methodology to manage them, put them in a bell curve and try to do their appraisals and all that nonsense, right? We don't even do appraisals, by the way. So what I said is that the best way these people will stay together and work together is if you have a collaborative culture, right? And even though you're a senior, even though you might have 8, 10, 12, 15 years of experience, nobody knows everything. And that's the fact of life, right? So can you create a culture in which I should be in a position, I should feel safe to come back on a call and say that, oh, I have never done this. For example, I have never implemented omni-channel. This customer wants it. Who knows it? Somebody else can say, oh, I have done it. These are the steps, what you do, right, to do it. And now, as a senior person, I learned something. And that makes me stick, right? So as I said, our attrition rate is very low. The reason is people are empowered. They are in front of the customer. They are learning every day. It's a collaborative culture. We do not penalize anybody for not knowing anything. Because nobody knows everything. And so there is no heroism in our company saying that, oh, this is the guy who is really bailing everybody out. It's a collaborative culture. And to a level, I will give you an example that employee of the month and employee of the quarter, we select by voting within the group, within the entire company, rather than me deciding or my HR manager deciding. And people give votes saying that, oh, this was the guy. And then they give reasons saying that why am I saying this person should be employee of the month is because he went out of the way and helped me here, helped me there. He does this, he does that. And that is, I think, what created what this culture is.
You know, what strikes me, Jay, about what you've shared is from hiring to tough decisions upfront to, let's say, appreciating, to the lack of appraisals, both what you are doing and what you are not doing. When I zoom out, it seems that you've differentiated not just for customers, you've also differentiated for team members, right? There is a clear point of view, both in terms of how you want to show up in the marketplace for talent and how you want to show up in the marketplace for clients, right? And I think that maybe if we now go a little forward, over the next 12 to 18 months, where do you see Bolt going? I know you mentioned Bolt Cares as well. So I know there are a few things in the works, but just high level, what is the top 3 or 4 things that y'all are focusing on?
Yeah, so I think you know how fast the world is changing around us, right? And there is a lot of fear of inflation being so high. There is a lot of fear of recession coming in, right? But from our company perspective, I think where we are really focused upon is with that mindset of neither a product nor a service truly solves the problem, right? So what solves the problem is combination of these two in many scenarios, right? And that is the reason, and it's not just our products, right? We have a couple of products, they're already out there, people are using them, but it's also about the core, again, the outcomes, right? And when we do so much work in healthcare, and there is a big story about healthcare, which I told you prior to this call, but importantly, we realized is this whole patient engagement is broken, right? Because we are used to Amazon type of experience. We are used to Lyft type of experience, right? But you go to healthcare or you go to your primary care, what kind of experience are you getting? We are still in 1980s, right? You need to fill 5 forms, and each time you have to sign 10 letters, and you don't know what happens. I might have done 100 tests in my life by now. I don't know where they are, and I don't know how they are trending, and is my health improving or is my health decreasing? So that is one of the challenge we have taken, saying that can we really solve the patient engagement experience? And again, we call it a patient engagement platform because no one party can really truly solve patient engagement. There are multiple parties involved into it, right? From your provider, your primary care, to your insurance company, to your how you pay your bills, to your lab works, right? To your medicines, to your refills, right? There are hundreds of parties who are involved into giving you a good experience. And if you want to build a platform on which you can give, I think that is one of the areas that we are truly focusing on. And the beta product is out. We launched it during HEMS in March, and we are taking that. Another, I believe, the important area is digitization, right? That a lot of people talk about, but very few people really know what is the ROI I'm doing something. And that is another very big area that we have taken. And I'll give you an example of a nonprofit, right? So nonprofits have a very big challenge, right? And the challenge is they only get 8 to 10% of the donations that they collect for their management. So they are very lean on management, right? They want 92% of the money to go to the cause, right? And we work with a lot of nonprofits, right? So we came up with nonprofit, what you can say, implementation plan, in which we automate almost 60% of their processes, right? Where you don't need human capital to do it. So your cost is low, right? And you only need human capital where it is directly required for your cause. And Salesforce has something called NPSP, as you guys, many people know, but we created a package on top of it, right? We call it an unmanaged package because we don't want to productize it. The reason is it requires a lot of, when you implement it, it really depends upon what the cause is and what they want to do and how they want to implement it, right? So if something that used to take us, I'll tell you, 12 to 18 weeks to implement, we have shrink it down to 3 to 4 weeks of implementation, right? So we implement that unmanaged package, we configure it for you, you're out and running, we remain your technology partner. And in the whole process, yes, it has maybe $100 type of bill has also gone down to $40 for us, right? But we connect to the cause, right? More than just the money. As I said, what gives me a kick saying that, am I able to generate the outcomes that this nonprofit really wanted? And those are some of the things I think that we are focused on. So to summarize, I think first is really to look deeper into healthcare and look at whether we can correct or implement a better patient experience. And we have built something which is on top of Salesforce Health Cloud. Health Cloud is not something many people know or have. Most of the hospitals have it, but there are very few solutions onto it. Second is solving whole of this digitization problem. And again, coming back to the challenge of inflation and challenge of recession that we are facing into, many companies are going to jump into more and more automation. Same trend, I'll tell you, that we saw during COVID, right, is going to happen moment the fear of recession starts becoming real, right? Because everybody says recession is coming, and I believe it is. And we are already having some conversations with some of our customers because they are asking us, saying that the recession is coming, what best can we do? And the best you can do is really, you can look at your business processes, you can look at your automation, you can look at where can I really save cost to survive in this recession. But again, the other side of a recession is also opportunity. Whenever there is a disaster, there is an opportunity. Whenever there is a recession, whenever there was COVID, there was so huge opportunity. We saw how many new products came into market. Similar is with recession. Recession is also an opportunity, right? We also have to look at this opportunity, and this opportunity lies in more digitization, it lies in more automation, and it lies in, I think, best customer or user experience that you can give. If you look at these three things, I think you will be.
Awesome. So I think, Jay, one of the challenges of somebody who's been in a field for so long is to connect those dots in a way that maybe somebody who doesn't know the field can understand. And I think one thing that's been good about this entire conversation is you've both gone into the depth of something, but then brought it back up to a level where a common person could understand. And I hear you on these big trends, which is reimagining the overall customer experience, patient experience in the healthcare space, how the sessions actually create an opportunity to reimagine, not just repair and fix and be in a sheltered mode.
Correct.
And some interesting insights around what could be possible out of that. So what I want to do now is I'm going to wrap this up. Is there a different, I usually like to ask whenever we have these conversations, is there a question that I didn't ask that you think is worth exploring, if any?
I think maybe one interesting question could have been saying that what are the 2 or 3 good use cases I can explain that we do with our customers.
Right? Perfect. Why don't we dive into that?
Yeah, because that can give some perspective of saying that when I say we solve and we do solutioning, right? Many people use this word, but what does that really mean?
Yeah.
So I won't give you 3, but at least I will give you 1 or 2 in interest of time. So one very clear thing that comes to my mind was I went and did a pitch again with a corporate mindset almost 3-4 years back. I went and did a pitch to a $7 billion company. Whole of those 3-4 people, because one of the guys knew me, so I got the meeting. I went there, explained them everything, and then at the end of the meeting, they said that, oh, we have 40 Salesforce people in-house, Jayant. We can do this, what you're saying. Thank you for giving us all these ideas. And I just walked out of the meeting. I said, okay, if you can do it, fair enough. I said, if you need any help, this is my card, let me know. And guess what? 18 months down the line, I get a call from that VP. And he said, do you remember you had come and met me? I said, yeah, I remember, because you are a $7 billion company. I can, whenever I drive on this highway, I see you, right? See your big name, Atlanta. So of course I know you, right? So he said, I would like you to come in, and we only have 2 months of window, but we are heading towards a sales conference, right? Typically it happens, right? That January, February, every company has a sales conference, and then they want to do something. Sales has been complaining a lot, so they want to put some improvements and go and explain them in a sales conference. Very conventional or traditional thing that happens, right? So they called me and said that we want to do this, and can you come in? We'll explain your problem. I went there, they explained the problem. All explanation was real technical, right? And I said, no offense, but I would like to talk to some of your salespeople. Not that you don't know them or you've not understood the problem. I would like to have a chat with them.
Fantastic.
And when I spoke to, they only allowed me to talk to 3 people, but I spoke to them. When I spoke to them, the problem was very different.
Okay.
At one side, the problem of IT was our data quality is bad, right? Our adoption is low, right? Nobody is entering information in the company, so we can't generate good reports. So can you come and solve this problem for us? And when I spoke to IT person, I spoke to 3 levels of people. So when I spoke to a sales guy, he said, Jayant, this takes 3 to 4 hours of my time in a week of entering this data. Okay. What does it give me? Nothing. So this is unnecessary evil in my life. So I'm only going to do it if somebody puts a gun on my face, and I am only going to do it bare minimum.
Yeah.
So if you're asking me to fill 10 forms, I'm not going to fill. I'm going to fill only mandatory fields. I'm going to escape this. Yeah. Very clearly he told me, right? I said, okay. Went to a manager. He said, oh, it's so hard to understand each deal and go through a deal. I have 10 people. Everybody's working on 5-6 deals. So you're talking 50 deals on my table. And all these reports and these dashboards that are there in Salesforce, none of them tell me where should I focus my attention. That is the real problem, Jayant. The problem is not to come and build more Zazzy dashboards. The problem is, I don't care how they look. Can you tell me these are the 3 deals this week I should focus on? That's all I want to know when I wake up in the morning. Then I will talk to my salespeople and I'll help them close those deals, right? I said, okay. I went to one level up, a VP of sales, and I said, what is your problem? So he said, my real problem is our forecast. Okay. What is the problem in forecast? So he said, I'll tell you 15 to 20% deals fall through the crack. okay, at the last 2 weeks when the forecast is supposed to get completed. And we have no clue why that is happening, right? I cannot identify those deals. So what technically we are doing is we are not even using your Salesforce for forecasting, right? We have our own Excel file. We dump those deals into it. I know that, oh, Jayant is very optimistic. He has forecasted 5 deals. I'm only going to tell 2 deals to my boss. So the 3 deals are in my back pocket, saying that some guy is very conservative. Maybe I will take 80%. It's extremely personal. There is no science behind it. We are just doing it with our logic, right? Still the deals are falling through. Why? Because we are picking these deals randomly rather than understanding the insights and picking. So if you can give me a forecast dashboard with a very clear understanding saying that which deal has what probability to really happen. I would honestly like to present that dashboard to my boss and to my management saying that this is our forecast, but likelihood of, I would like to bucket them saying that 90% is here, 80% is here, and below 80% are here. But this is where our whole team is working on. Today, they feel that the team is working on very few number of opportunities where people are really working on more number of opportunities because they are getting filtered out when they go to management. And that is the real problem it was. So when you look at why I was called versus what people wanted, which was very different, the way we solved the problem was, again, you can understand the solution. It is pretty simple to solve this problem rather than trying to get bogged down into what IT had called me for. So we are very good at, to answer or to come back to our question, we are very good at understanding the customer problem, understanding the outcome, and saying that what is the least minimal path, resistance path to get you that data, right? Get you that outcome. You can't boil the whole ocean. Right. If I say that, oh, your entire Salesforce has to be re-implemented, that is never going to happen because it's already a fast-running company. So that is, again, that also comes down to our name of the company. To give you 1 minute, when we were deciding the name, we didn't know what name to keep, right? That's so hard to really find the name. And whenever I used to talk to people, I used to always say that it is an implementation. We need bolt-on solutions really to bring these insights out. We need, right? And so one guy said, you are always saying bolt-on to be the name of your company, right? Where you can bolt on the solutions. And that is how we came up with the name called Bolt. And today really came up because you can't find a good domain. And when I saw today is a domain, I said, oh, this is perfect, that I can give you bolt-on solutions which work. So that is little cider.
I think it's a great summary of the whole conversation, right? The urgency, the business outcome. And I think it would have been a great way to start. I guess it's a great way to complete, right? But thank you. Thank you so much, Jay. But on behalf of the people who will be watching this, thanks so much. And
thank you for having me.
Fantastic to have these conversations.